From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Well, tonight, something to tempt your taste buds. A popular restaurant chain may be on its way to the Magic City. And if you've been wondering why Montana Senator Steve Daines and Congressman Matt Rosendale have joined a dozen Republicans who plan to object to Joe Biden's electoral college win, tonight we ask them. But first, as Yellowstone County sees its first COVID-related death of 2021, Montana's new governor announces plans to remove the state's mask mandate. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, in his first press conference as Montana's new governor, Greg Gianforte announces he will drop the statewide mask mandate, but also laid out clear criteria for when he will rescind that order. MTN's Jonathan Amberian has those details.
Governor Greg Gianforte announced Tuesday that his new administration will make a shift in priorities in battling COVID. Gianforte said he plans to revise or replace a number of directives from the previous governor. First, he will prioritize getting vaccines to people 70 and older and those with conditions that put them at higher risk for complications. That group could include up to 300,000 Montanans. Gianforte also said he plans to remove the statewide mask mandate, but not immediately. He said he would rescind the mandate only after more of the vulnerable population receives the vaccine and after the legislature approves a bill to protect businesses, schools, and other organizations from lawsuits, if they make a good faith effort to protect people from COVID. He said he believes incentives will be more effective than mandates.
Our goal is to make these new directives and guidance very clear. They will be practical and will take into account that while we are in the middle of a public health crisis, we are also in the middle of an economic crisis.
Gianforte said there's not a specific timetable yet for removing the mask mandate, but he hopes it will be in weeks rather than months. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Thanks, Jonathan. Now, the governor also announced changes coming to the state's COVID-19 dashboard. Those include adding data on the number of vaccines administered in Montana. Well, swift and certain reaction from the state's largest union today, the Montana Federation of Public Employees, speaking out. President Amanda Curtis says in a statement, today's decision to delay the ability of teachers, school employees, and other frontline workers to receive vaccines is unfortunate and a slug in the gut to thousands of heroic Montanans. She says lifting the mask mandate on top of that, quote, undermines and delays efforts in nearly every Montana community to keep schools open and our economy moving forward. The math doesn't add up. The timeline is flawed and the policy is misguided. Well, Yellowstone County health authorities confirmed the first COVID-19 related death of 2021. That victim, a man in his 70s, died on Sunday. His death brings the countywide total from 165 in 2020 to 166. Riverstone Health reports more than 14,000 Yellowstone County residents have been infected to date and more than 12,700 have recovered. Well, the statewide death toll has now reached 1,035 as county health agencies add another 6 COVID-related deaths. And although the state added another 723 new cases since Monday evening, active cases have dropped by 105 thanks to 823 additional recoveries. Bighorn County reports 6 new confirmed cases today, 3 of them children under the age of 10. And in Wyoming, officials announced another 26 new COVID-related deaths. Well, when Congress is set to vote tomorrow to confirm the results of the 2020 presidential election, the 2 Republican members of Montana's congressional delegation, Senator Steve Daines and Congressman Matt Rosendale, say they will support challenges to those results. Tonight, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison explains what that means and what they both do and don't have to say about it.
Confirming the electoral votes in a presidential election is usually a routine affair. But not Wednesday, when at least 140 Republican House members and a dozen GOP senators say they will support objections to the election results in a half-dozen so-called disputed states. When that happens, the House and Senate will debate each objection and vote on it. Those votes will most certainly fail, and Democrat Joe Biden will be officially confirmed as winner of the presidential election. Daines and his fellow objectors in the Senate say the 2020 election featured unprecedented allegations of voter fraud. They want to create a commission to investigate these allegations and then allow a state, if it chooses, to convene a special legislative session to change their presidential vote. Rosendale said Tuesday he will support challenges in some states, but didn't identify which ones. He also cited what he called widespread allegations of voter fraud and said challenging presidential election results was a precedent set earlier by Democrats. We asked both Daines and Rosendale to identify what they consider credible or unprecedented incidents of voter fraud or where it happened. They did not specifically reply. As for precedent, some Democrats in Congress have objected when Republicans won the presidential election in 2000, 2004, and 2016. The difference, however, is that in each of those years, we did not have a candidate like President Trump actively attempting to overturn the certified election results. Rosendale and Daines are essentially supporting that effort when no credible evidence has surfaced of any level of voter fraud or irregularities that would change the outcome of the presidential election. And the third member of our delegation, Democratic Senator Jon Tester, he says it's long past time to end what he called these irresponsible attacks that put our democracy at risk, and for Congress to start addressing serious issues that face the nation. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. Now, if the challenges are defeated, Biden's election will be confirmed by Congress. Now, with Congress set to vote and certify the Electoral College tomorrow, we wondered how exactly will that unfold? Joe St. George walks us through the steps and if anything will change.
The election may have been in November, but Wednesday technically is when the 2020 election will be officially over, with Congress set to certify the Electoral College vote, which took place last month.
Usually this process doesn't receive a ton of attention, but it is this year because President Trump hasn't conceded the election.
So what should you expect during the Electoral College certification vote? Well, the vote will begin around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Vice President Mike Pence will preside because he's also president of the Senate. Each state will be called in alphabetical order and the results read out loud. Any member of Congress can object to a result. An objection can only be heard, though, if a senator and a representative put that objection in writing. If that happens, up to a 2-hour debate will begin, followed by a vote.
Now, this is why this process is going to take a while on Wednesday. Over 100 Republicans are expected to object to the results. Each objection takes time, although we don't know how many states Republicans will object to.
Now, the big question, will the Electoral College certification vote change anything? The answer is no. In order to deny President-elect Biden the presidency, a majority in the House and the Senate would have to object. And so far, President Trump doesn't have the votes. The last time an objection like this occurred was by Democrats in 2005, who didn't want George W. Bush to win. The difference, though, is that time Senator John Kerry, who ran against Bush, did not support the effort. This time, President Trump does. Outside the Capitol on Wednesday, thousands of pro-Trump supporters are expected. Security has been heightened in our nation's capital, with the National Guard deployed. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, with a busy 2020 riddled with more assaults, domestic altercations, and murders, the Billings Police Department is setting its sights on new training equipment to combat violent crimes. CARES Act dollars helped the city pay for wages, overtime, and PPE during the pandemic. But officials say the free up of pre-allocated dollars can now be used to enhance police services. Some of the $900,000 goes to a 3D crime scene scanner, de-escalation and transparency training, and new mountain bikes to place officers downtown.
The money that we're spending isn't money that was designed to buy masks and provide all the COVID stuff, but that reimbursement of all of that has allowed us to provide this money over here to where we can take advantage of that and we can increase some services. And that's what's important, and it's a one-time deal, so we're going to take advantage of it.
And that money has already been put forth to City Council and accepted. Well, a Utah man on the hunt for the Fenn treasure has pleaded guilty to digging in or trafficking in relics from the Fort Yellowstone Cemetery in Mammoth. 52-year-old Roderick Craythorne admits he dug in the cemetery between October of 2019 and May of 2020 while searching for the treasure. The Park Service says although the search for the treasure was often viewed as harmless, Craythorne's quest led to substantial damage to important historical resources. He faces up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. His sentencing is set for March 21st. Now, the Forrest Fenn treasure, valued as high as $2 million, was found last year in Wyoming after being hidden for 10 years. Well, since the start of the pandemic, if you found yourself adjusting your budget or trying to navigate unemployment, a nonprofit in Missoula may have just what you need. Now, Homeward, a program focused on homebuyer education and financial skill building, is now offering its programs online statewide. Homeward staff say this pivot to online classes has helped them tap into Montana's rural communities who otherwise might not be able to attend an in-person class. Now, the classes help you create a budget, adapt your income or expense changes, and help guide people through the pandemic's uncertainty.
Our financial educator has this incredible energy around being able to help people where they are. So if you are making no money, she's going to find you resources and she's going to teach you skills to really dig into what's available to you. And she has this idea bank and action plan for you. And then for folks who feel more secure, but they maybe are living outside of their means, they know they make enough money to cover their bills, and yet by the end of the month they are running out of money. And so she helps folks really get in line and create this living, breathing budget so that they can really adjust what they need and meet those financial goals.
And the next round of classes will be held next week, January 12th, 13th, and 14th. You can sign up for free at homeward.org. Well, here in Billings, the popular fast food chain ChickfilA may soon open its doors on the city's west end. The Midvale, Utah-based developer TFC Rosebud LLC submitted a request for zoning clarification to the city last month. The restaurant would sit on a 1.4-acre patch of land in the parking lot of Planet Fitness on the corner of 24th Street West and Marketplace Street. Now, the planning document describes a restaurant with multiple drive-through lanes, outdoor seating, and children's play. The city approved the zoning request, stating that construction can move forward. Now, there's no timeline yet on when construction may start. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News, right here on Q2, will you get the COVID-19 vaccine? It's a popular question, and local health authorities would like your answer. And in sports tonight, making history as the Billings senior girls wrestling team prepares for its first season on the mats.
Some of us experienced some rain and snow first thing this morning, but not at the Billings Airport. That was mainly about warming up. 47 was the high today and top winds over 40 miles an hour. Look at the forecast coming up in a few minutes.